Hi, this is B from Sorcery Soap and now Hocus Pocus Crafts. Sorry, my glasses have the glare on them. There we go. Okay, if you like the peculiar and unusual, keep watching. If not, well, there's a million channels that you could watch. I wanted to connect with you today. Let me take my glasses off so you can see my face, see my eyes. I wanted to connect with you today to give you an update of what Sorcery Soap and Hocus Pocus are doing and what they're about. And I sense there's other people that feel the same, or maybe. And I'm grateful that there are a lot of people that have been following along with Sorcery Soap more than I can tell you. And the world is changing. The world has changed. Multiple realms have changed, dramatic changes. And I find that I have to change with it. And this change has been coming on for a long time, but most recently in the last 6 months. And I have a lot to say, and I'm going to try and organize my thoughts so I don't waste your time. As some of you know, I wrote some books a few years ago on soap dough. And the very first book I wrote was about the soap dough process. But what I found the most important part of writing that was inspiration. And I felt when I drilled into it and went as deep as I could with the idea of why I was writing the book, I felt that without inspiration, there's going to be no forward movement. And so I began to study inspiration and used the manifestations of my inspiration, which was soap and soap dough and the whole process of that, as the launching point, as the epicenter of the movement of that. And of all the things I've done, the books have been the most successful. Now, as I evaluated last year, and I'm sure you know the economy is terrible, and everybody is having a hard time. I refer to this as and have been very kind to me. Oddly, the kindness doesn't outweigh the meanness that I receive as well. That's so confusing to me. You would think one is the opposite, the polar opposite of the other, but I don't believe it is. I think they're independent of each other. Nonetheless, that's a whole nother thought for another day. Yeah, and that's forced me to, not forced, but sort of curtailed me in certain areas, so I've had to focus on that, the evil or the meanness, the outright venom that comes from that perspective. I've had to focus energies on that, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm speaking to those of you that leave comments that are pleasant and lovely and know exactly the most polite way to ask a question. I want you to know that I have a wealth of knowledge in my head about soap dough that I'm always happy to support and help you with. And I'll continue to do that. So back to the book situation. So when I evaluated everything that I've ever done, everything that I've ever offered, my books did better than anything else that I've ever offered. And that really gave me pause. And so the shift in me is looking up. And that words are facsimiles of the truth, okay? So take this with a very soft focus and a general sense. I'll do my best to make them be exact, but I am not exact anymore. I can't be exact anyway. So inspiration comes to me from this way, okay? From the up, from the ether, and then manifests through the material plane. I've always known that, but in the last 6 months, it's become this way more. So, for example, I had an idea to write a book. That idea is not provable. There's no fact in the idea. I had an idea to write a book. I had a lot of ideas. And I wanted to take those ideas, which in one level, in the temporal world, we talk about it. Oh, it's in my mind. I don't know. I don't totally agree with that. Imagination is another place. So we take that idea and we put it this way. So I did the labor of it, or the manifestation process of it, of typing, editing, processing, and even made it into instead of just less material, which is an ebook, because unless you print it, it's not necessarily provable, right? Instead of doing that, I made it into physical books, which, to be honest, it was a slog, but I was grateful, and I found a good publisher that I really like. So when I look at that, and all the things that you see in soap came from an idea first, an unseen, an invisible place. And that is my gold. I don't know if it's yours, but it definitely is mine. Everything I've ever done came from that idea first. And part of that is that the idea had to be couched with an intention or a hope. It had to be at least neutral, if not positive. Positive usually denotes a desired outcome, so I'd have to say it's more neutral. So when I wrote the first book, I read it to my husband, read some of it to my husband, and he's like projecting and saying that's going to do really well and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't know if anybody will buy it. I just want to help, and it'll be good, and it'll help me. I can point people to it when I get asked a ton of questions about how I made things, and then it'll help other people. And it was fun, and I wanted some writing practice, and so I participated, and I, wrote the books. And the first weekend I offered the book as an ebook format, and it's been revised since then, because I have an editor, but I don't have publishing people. I don't have a team of people. It was just me and my sister and a couple other eyes to catch mistakes and, read for content and whatever. And so it was all the best we could do, basically, but we're not professionals by any stretch. And the very first weekend that I offered it, I crashed my website. Now, that's not like I'm giving it in the short version of it, because I did a lot. I took pictures and I posted and I explained and I, constantly helped other people. And so I had people that were interested in the book, and I had created the interest, basically. And I felt like I was always kind and patient with people. And that energy was the energy that I wanted to move forward with. And so that went, and then subsequently I had a lot of interest in soap dough, and so I was creating all these, I'd think about it constantly, and I would look for ideas all the time in my environment and study, and I wonder if I could do this, and wonder if I could do this, and my fingers would crack from washing my hands so much, and I didn't care. I'd tape my fingers up, and I just kept doing it, and then it just grew. It grew into this other thing. I had no intention for it at all. It was like there was no path, and so every step I took, the path got created, and I thought, oh, okay, people want this color soap dough, I'll make that, and did it, and it just kept going on and on. And it came all from just an idea. And so there's a lot that's happened. One of the things that happened that I thought was really interesting is that the division of people who value other people's ideas as creative epicenters. I feel like I'm a creative epicenter. There's so many differences. Each one of us is singular. So this is just my story. I posted something a few months ago, a picture that I sourced the fruit. It was in January. And so I wanted to take pictures for a supplier as a favor. And I felt like the pictures were really good. I don't have studio equipment. I hodgepodge it all together so that I could live in my environment and I can have these things without having this dedicated space. Anyway, so I went and found these really perfect fruits, and I don't eat fruit at all. So it was a big deal to have all this in my house. And so I took all these pictures and for basically stock photos, really good stock photos, so that we could use these in some of the posts that we were making together. And I was supporting her company and she had supported me back, and so I did that. And it was basically a favor. I wasn't, getting paid. I wasn't gonna have recompense of any kind. I was just doing that. And plus I figured, well, I could use the photos at some point in the future. And so there's this other supplier that I decided to put their fragrance oils that I had most recently used in front of this stock photo and stuff. And anyway, I posted it. But in real time, somebody took my wanted to know how to take the watermark off, took the watermark off, reposted my picture. I'm watching all this online, reposted it as if that's acceptable behavior. And I wrote to the administrator and said, how could you, what's going on? Like, did you see what just happened? And oddly, somebody who'd been reasonable to me defended the person's actions. Oh, I know her. She's not a mean person. Mean doesn't have anything to do with it. What she did was crossing the line. That was my hard work that she just took in front of my eyes. And I was shocked. I mean, dumbfounded by the fact that this low cunning behavior could be defended. And I thought, I have posted in your group and supported and rallied and gotten people over to know your company that might not have, based on my hard work, that nothing came back to me except for goodwill. That was the whole point of goodwill. Created posts, created ideas, rallied the troops to show what a good product you had. And here you couldn't defend me for 2 seconds. And I'm a creative person. Like, a creative person is somebody who has an idea and can bring it into the world to share it with other people. And that set me back on my heels for a bit. Truly, I was like, what is going on with this realm? I've had to take stock and reevaluate. I have to question my spiritual beliefs and what I think is real and what I think is reality for me and where I want my life to go. I would like to think that I'm going to live another 30 years, give or take, maybe more. How do I want to do that? Do I want to do it living in a host of people who see zero value in me as a creative person, who would not rally to my defense when it's the hardest? And yeah, the answer is a clear and abundant no, I don't want to do that. And there are people that have rallied to my defense, not that I asked them to, that I am 100% loyal to them. I will support them, encourage them, always. And that's the world I want to live in. I've shifted gears and I began writing again, diligently, daily, March of this year. I'll give you a little sneak peek, I think, of what I'm working on. So I wanted to tell you what that is and how that happened. Not all of it, but I'll give you a little bit of what happened. I'm going to assume, if you've watched this far into the video, that your world's changed as well. And that maybe at some point, I will assume this piece too, that you're looking for things of quality, ideas of quality, what's real, and truth. Because if you're not looking for those things, my guess is you've gotten bored with this video and you've moved on already. That seems to be a value as well to me. at first I started collecting the tea recipes, wanting to see, and I kind of had an idea. I thought maybe I'll write a tea recipe book because I use teas. I have a whole shelf space of herbs and jars and things. And recently I've begun creating a friendship with a new friend, and she shared with me the idea of a still room, which I really like. That's an ancient, not ancient, arcane word. We don't use that word anymore, still room. They used to have stills in there, but there's herbs and healing remedies and things like that for your family. And so I wanted to put all together the recipes I've used that I like and repeat, because there's occasionally, like, I think in the evening I want a tea and I just have a blank spot in my mind. I'm like, I don't even know what, and I have a whole, and I've used them, and then so then I look through my recipe collection and I go, oh yeah, that seems like the perfect fit, right? Like, we don't drink soda or any of that stuff. I make hibiscus tea and I chill it. Hibiscus is, has a vitamin C tartness to it. And if you put passion flower in it, it smooths out that tartness. But the passion flower is a little bit relaxing, and so sometimes I'll drink a glass of hibiscus and passion flower, and I need a nap in the afternoon. I just like close my eyes for a second. Oh, I'm gonna meditate. Boom, I'm out. Of course, the best meditations for me don't usually come while I'm laying prone, but nonetheless, yeah. So I started collecting these things, and the next thing I know, I'm collecting letters, and I'm collecting all these missives and writings that I have collected. And then I realized, oh my gosh, this is so much bigger than I even anticipated. So that's what I'm working on. And see if I'll slip in some of the things that I have. And I don't want to say, it's not because I'm keeping a secret, it's because I don't want to add to the AI algorithm, honestly. And this deep into the video, I'm pretty sure they'll be bored of it or have scrubbed it already or whatever. That used to sound so paranoid, and to me that doesn't sound paranoid at all anymore. I think it's an actual reality that, lots of people are afraid of AI. I'm not afraid of it at all. I use it all the time. And one of the things I realized, somebody pointed out, and I thought this was really astute of them, is that AI is programmed by human beings. Human beings are creative. Computer programs are not creative, in the sense that I used to code, so I could see some of the mechanisms, but that was back in the day, and it's moved very quickly, beyond my capabilities. But I had some of it's like A plus B equals C, and if you put in B incorrectly, A plus B will not equal C, and so you have to go back and figure that out. And it's a whole language. There are many languages of code anyway. So yeah, AI is just a very quick synthesis of scrubbing every bit of available information and then regurgitating it, and it's very quick at it. But to say that AI is going to take over the creative ability of a human being, or those that are real human beings, because like obviously not everybody is real, is short-sighted, I think, and fear-based. And so here's the other part about this, is that jumping off a cliff, nah, that's too dramatic. Let me think about that. Stepping into the unknown takes a great deal of faith. And so the work really comes when it's the hardest. And this is the work for me. You're witnessing it. You've been witnessing it. Today I got an email that was very unpleasant, and I processed that. And the process for me is, what part of that is true? letting go of the tone and the messenger and just asking myself what part of that is true. Because it usually, things don't land or stay. They don't stick unless there's some truth in it, generally. And I went, wow, there's some truth in that. She was really mean and unpleasant, but there's some truth in that for me. And so that's why I'm making this video, to counteract that in one capacity in me and speak to the truth of it versus the meanness of it. And I'm not a little wallflower. I've been through some stuff, and maybe someday I'll tell you, but I've been through some stuff. And I do not neutralize it by saying, oh, we've all been through. Yeah, lots of people have. Some people have lived pretty enchanted lives. I haven't lived an enchanted life at all. And my life didn't start getting different, better, more clear until about 10 years ago. So, yeah, everybody wants to neutralize things and say, we all what? What we are we talking about? We all. No, we all don't. Not everybody can identify with everything just because they have 2 legs and 2 arms or whatever, or bipedal. I don't agree with that. And I don't agree that we're all special snowflakes. I think that we are all singular. Each individual person is a singular person, not to ever be duplicated. So, yeah, I have a lot of ideas about a lot of things that I can't say, and that is shocking to me. I'm an old person now, considered an old person. And I've lived a long time, and this is just a clown world. This is insane. So anyway, I won't keep you any longer, and I wanted to basically say, if you're still interested in unusual and peculiar things and unusual and peculiar ideas, keep watching, because I hope to share with you more. And I have an article I wrote on how to make soap flowers, coming out in next month's issue of Making Soap magazine. And I want to continue to help, and I am not bored of helping, but I am largely not that interested in soap dough right now, or making soap creations anymore, or offering tools, or continuing down that path. And for a while I wanted to say it was because of, outside things, but when I get honest about it, it's because my inspiration is shifted its focus. And I ask myself, what do I have? What are my best works that I can offer that are of greatest value? And I think I've grown in a way that I can have I have now the strength and fortitude to do the thing or the work that I've agreed to do, maybe, or asked of me. I'm not sure how that works. But I feel that my faith and strength in the unseen surpasses the material world. And so that's where my desire is. That's my will, in accordance with the greatest version of myself, the highest version of myself. So, if anything I've said today is appealing to you, I hope that you keep watching. I have not abandoned this channel. I have not abandoned any of this. And if you look on Sorcery Soap, we've sort of shifted, and we have a whole host of Hocus Pocus crafts. And the point of all that is inspiration. Like, that's the most important thing. I personally want to go to my own site and scan all the things I've ever made, all the things that inspired me, and be re-inspired on a regular basis. And so everything, every single thing that's on there now, if you look, has been a moment of inspiration for myself. So I hope that helps you. And I'm over here making little clay figures. I probably will give these away. These are my new, I just think they're fun, a little pocket ward. And so I haven't made any cards or explanations about them yet, but it's something that I discovered, I rediscovered. I forgot that we use this. And we put it on the envelopes before we send them as a little protection. I'll show you one more here. So I made this too. I made a mold for soap dough. Oh, you can't really see that. Let me see this one here. I made a mold for soap dough. I was like, oh, I want to make these in clay. Oh, I have a mold. I forgot I even made that. And so if you get a little pocket ward in the mail, it's fun. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking with me, and have a great day. Bye.